Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. We'll hear from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam today. Today's verse is from the second canto, chapter 8, text number 4. Śrīmvata śraddhayā nityam granatascha swacheshtitam kalina natidirghena Bhagavan vishate hridi. Śrīmvata śraddhayā nityam granantascha swacheshtitam kalina natidirghena Bhagavan vishate hridi. Śrīmvata, of those who hear śraddhayā, in earnestness, nityam, regularly, always, granataha, taking the matter, cha, also, swacheshtitam, seriously by one's own endeavor, kalena, duration, na, not, atidirghena, very prolonged time, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, vishate, becomes manifest, hridi, within one's heart. Translation: persons who hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time. I'll say, please repeat. Persons who hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-rasāmṛta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Cheap devotees or materialistic devotees of the Lord are very much desirous to see the Lord personally without meeting the requisite qualifications. Such third-grade devotees should know well that material attachment and seeing the Lord face-to-face cannot go together. It is not such a mechanical process that the professional Bhagavatam reciters can do the job on behalf of the third-grade materialistic pseudo-devotees. I'm going to read that sentence again. It is not such a mechanical process that the professional Bhagavatam reciters can do the job on behalf of the third-grade materialistic pseudo-devotee. The professional men are useless in this connection because they are neither self-realized nor interested in the liberation of the audience. They are simply interested in maintaining the material establishment of family attachment and earning some material benefits out of the profession. Mahārāja-Parīkṣit had no more than 7 days to live, but for others Mahārāja-Parīkṣit personally recommends that one hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam regularly, nityam, always by one's own effort and with serious devotion also. That will help one to see the Lord Sri Krishna manifested in one's heart within no time. The pseudo-devotee, however, is very anxious to see the Lord according to his whims, not making any serious effort to hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam regularly and without detachment from material benefit. That is not the way recommended by an authority like Mahārāja-Parīkṣit, who heard and benefited by hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. I offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu Prabhupada, to all the previous ācāryas, to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, to Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Radha Govinda, Shri Radha Gopinath, and to all the assembled devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripasindhave evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. As Rupa Goswāmī writes in a poem that, please, Krishna, you're famous as a cowherd boy, and you carry a stick for tending cows, and now the calf of my mind has wandered away into a little cave to drink from some poison pit. Please herd me out of the cave and back to the flowing stream of nectar, which is the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, so that I can become nourished. And this verse is so encouraging to us because we can know the results of hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and the activity is not so strenuous because everyone has a tendency to hear something, and if we assemble, as we're doing here, and listen to the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and have discussion about Krishna and also about the philosophy which, when enacted, leads us to self-realization, then we become benefited. No one can deny this. Anyone who's been in the process before and has taken the trouble to sit and listen to the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam in the assembly of devotees knows that he or she comes out feeling edified. What does edified mean anyway? Can somebody look it up, please? I think it means to grow. And here we get encouragement for this. Yes? To instruct or improve someone morally or intellectually. Right. Intellectually, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions how important it is to feed the intellect. As he says that there's a hierarchy within our environment, the bodily environment that we're in. He says, Indriyani prayanyahur indriyebhya param manaha manasastu para buddhiryo buddhe paratastu saha. Lowest of all are the sense objects. Above the sense objects is the mind, or are the senses, and above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intellect, and above the intellect is the soul. Correct. So then he says, Evam buddhi param buddva samstabhya manamatmana jahi shatram mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. The way one overcomes the ways of attachment to the lower energy of the material nature is by intelligence to begin with, because one has to have a sharp intelligence to make the distinction between the result one gets from engaging with matter and engaging one's attention and spirit. Krishna makes the distinction for us in the Bhagavad Gita that there's a lower energy and a higher energy. So, in Prabhupada's purport, I'll make a few points and then we can have a discussion if you're open to it. Is anybody open to having a discussion? Okay, I'll remember that when I get to the point. He first says that there are such thing as cheap devotees or materialistic devotees. And he defines them as being desirous to see the Lord personally without meeting the requisite qualifications. So generally people don't like pretenders who come unprepared and then assert themselves and have expectations for great returns even though they haven't done the work. Right? There's a natural way in which the Lord reveals himself to one who is serious, as one of the themes in this verse today, about the process of Krishna consciousness. So let's talk for a minute about how to not be a pretender. Pretend. What does it mean, please, the etymology? Our research department should have a microphone, I think.
Pretend, to profess, to put forward as a statement or assertion, to maintain a claim, etc.
Anything else?
to direct one's efforts, to lay claim, to stretch in front, spread before, put forward as an excuse, a ledge.
Okay. Maybe pretense is a better word. So there's a way in which the process of devotional service is practical. Practical means there's something for us to do. We can't just suddenly claim to be qualified for seeing Krishna. And the Padma Purana gives the beginning step, which is mentioned in a famous verse that I think everybody knows. Ata Shri Krishna namadi na bhaved grayam indriye sevam mukhi jivado swayameva spratyada. That is, that devotional service begins with the tongue. Why is this good news? Prasadam? My favorite time of the day. Why else is it good news that it's practical and there's a directive that it begins in a particular place? We have microphones. Please express why you think that's good news. But don't take too long because we don't have very long today. Yes? No, you got to use the mic because the people online can't hear you. It's a direct feed into the live stream.
Because we know exactly like where to start. You were kind of saying that.
Yeah.
Anyways. We know exactly like what the...
Yeah, if we don't know where to start, it's confusing and we just feel frustrated because it sounds lofty and I might feel that it's not for me because I have no access. So I was talking to Radhika Raman Prabhu recently and he was talking about how any philosophical system doesn't have access that people can afford, that they're capable of taking advantage of, then it's a useless philosophy, and philosophers in general reject it as not being worthy of discussion. Because what's the use of philosophy? Philosophy is meant to relieve us from the existential crushing situation here in the material world. For instance, if you have a fender bender in a parking lot, does it ever happened to anybody? You don't have your driver's license yet? Okay, so it could happen someday, not that it will. But if it does, then you go home really disturbed because you just got your learner's permit and then you bashed in the car. And then you go to your parents whose car it is. They loaned it to you for the day. And then they're so compassionate, what do they say? To relieve you of your anxiety, they give you a philosophical point. They say, don't worry, Nanda, it's just a car. Right? Is that what they say? So that's philosophy. No, that's not what they say.
I wish.
You wish. So I said, an enlightened mother, father, or somebody would compassionately say, no, it's just a car. Don't worry. Because let's say you're in hysterics and they're trying to calm you down before they tell you got to pay for it. So they say it's just a car. So that's an objectification of the car, and it's philosophy. It's going to a higher perspective. Don't worry, it's just a car. So we need some sense of entry into philosophy we can actually practice. And so it's good news because you know where to start. Jīva means the tongue. Check and see if you have a tongue. Does it check out? Okay, then we're getting even better news. Not only do we know where to start, but we also can sense that we have a tongue. Yep. And so with the tongue, then you can do seva. You can start the process of chanting Hare Krishna or taking Krishna Prasadam. And if you control the tongue, the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam says, then you can understand all your senses are controlled. And if you can't control the tongue, then you can also understand that all the other senses aren't controlled. So that's an easy way to judge how we're doing. Prabhupada continues and mentions that this process is not for professionals. The process means hearing and chanting about Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. The example of the perfect hearer is Parikshit Maharaj. He was very serious. How serious was he? Very serious. So it gives some symptoms of how seriously he was hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, according to the Bhāgavatam itself. Let's just talk about it for a minute. May we? Remember we agreed earlier? Okay. Tejas Prabhu. Here comes the microphone all the way from the other side, and it's not on. Think you got it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So in the 10th canto, he says, Naishati dosahak shunmam tyakto dhammapi badate pibantam tvanmukhambujam chutam harikathamritam. So Parikshit Maharaj says, like, the hunger that I have, or which is like intolerable normally, or even thirst, which is intolerable, just because of the harikatha that I'm listening, that's emanating from your mouth, O Shukadeva Goswami, everything is just gone. So that in itself just describes like how intently he was listening, that everything had just gone away.
Yeah, and how did he become so serious like that? And especially in regard to his thirst. Because it's mentioned in this verse that Tejas Prabhu just quoted, Naishapti dushaha shunvam taktodama bibhadite. That pibantam twan mukambhukt. Usually when you don't drink water, then you become? When else was Parikshit Maharaj very thirsty? Trace it back. Connect the dots. When? Yeah, he was out in the forest and then he got really thirsty, right? And then what happened? Okay, take the mic. Somebody commit.
He went to the ashram of a saint. I forgot the name of who, but he went to the ashram.
Shamika Rishi.
Shamika Rishi. He went to him asking for water, but Shamika Rishi was so deep in his meditation that he couldn't hear Parikshit Maharaj, and Parikshit Maharaj got really offended, and then he put a snake on his neck, and the Rishi's son,
Shringi.
he saw this and got really offended on behalf of his dad, and so he cursed Parikshit Maharaj to die in 7 days.
That was very well put. Maybe you could tell the lesson from that. Can we extract a lesson from it? Practical. Something we can use.
Yeah, tolerance.
What do you mean tolerance?
A lot of the time, people are in a situation where we don't understand their situation, so there must be a reason why what's happening is happening, so we should tolerate, and maybe not next time, but try and understand what's happening instead of immediately jumping to a conclusion.
That's nice. That's a good lesson. We don't know exactly what people are going through when they react to us in a certain way or treat us in a certain way, so we shouldn't overreact. Yes?
Don't interrupt someone's meditation.
Don't interrupt somebody's meditation. Yeah, that's another lesson. Okay. Yes? 1, 2.
We have a very short amount of time in this material world, so we should utilize every single bit of it.
Okay. How did you extract that lesson from this? Let's just connect the...
Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die within 7 days, or in 7 days, and I just realized that 7 days for us can be a long or short time depending on how we're engaging ourselves and what activities we're doing.
Nice. Yes, 1, 2.
Okay. Don't be prideful or...
Don't be prideful.
Yeah, because Parikshit Maharaj...
How do you do that?
Be humble.
Give us the mechanics, how to be humble and not prideful. Like, how should we think?
Be like, put yourself in other people's shoes, try to understand what they're going through before jumping to a conclusion. It's tied to her point.
That's a really good point. Yes.
If Maharaj-Parīkṣit had more of a mood of service, then maybe he wouldn't have been so offended. But instead, he expected the Brahmin to serve him water, and then he got mad when it didn't happen.
Oh, yeah. That's a expectation that I should be served. And that's a way that the senses actually, when we're not in control of our senses, then the senses have a sense of entitlement, don't they? The senses think, I deserve to be fed. Did you ever try to fast? Did your stomach talk to you about its sense of entitlement? And say, hey, listen, I'm down here, you feed me, that's how it works, right? And you say, we're not feeding you today, and then what does your stomach say? Come on. Yeah, so the sense of entitlement that I have, I'm drawn by my senses to think that I deserve something. Then we actually get relief when we're able to control the senses and rise above them. So there's a lot of lessons we can derive from that, but it's something that the ācāryas point out from the verse that Tejas Prabhu just quoted, is that Parikshit Maharaj is thinking back to the time in which he lost his temper when he was very thirsty and he couldn't get what he wanted. He felt entitled. As a king, and his senses by nature felt entitled that I should get some water right now. And then he was exasperated with the sage. And that led to a whole series of events in which he got a text later on that said he had 7 days to live. Right? iPhone 1? Was it that back then? And so what is the overall mood of Parikshit Maharaj when he's hearing from Śrīmad Gosvāmī? That's something that we can imbibe. That means actually to drink. We can understand that he was very serious because he had 7 days to live. As Madhuri Saki pointed out, sensed that there's very little time. And he was giving his full attention by not, and this is the verse that Tejas Prabhu gave, he wasn't even taking time out to drink water, what to speak of eat, and not even sleeping. And he said that he didn't feel tired. And he said, normally I'd feel tired. And normally I'd feel really thirsty or hungry because I'm not eating right now. But he said, Chutam harikatamritam. Chutam means falling. So because there's nectar falling from your mouth, I'm drinking that. That's my food right now. So this is a state of perfection in life, is to have this sense that there's nothing as important than hearing. So I'll just read a little bit more. And that is that. Prabhupada goes on about professionals. So this idea of reciting the Bhagavatam in order to get something in return, that I want to get my livelihood from it, is considered a process of cheating. Because you won't derive the benefit from the Bhagavatam if that's how you feel. On the other hand, have you ever done something that you feel was really ill-advised or even stupid, and then you regretted it, and you felt really serious for a few minutes? You can relate to that? So this is an important state to remember, that I'm in a precarious situation. We can remember also that the situation I'm in now can be remedied by the process of hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. And if we take advantage of it, then very naturally, if we're in that state of mind of seriously hearing the Bhagavatam, then as the Sanskrit says in this verse, of those who hear in earnestness, śraddhayā, and nityam means always or regularly. So what does that mean? And this is one of the symptoms of being serious is nityam. So nityam means always, like Maharaj Parikshit, or it also means at least once a day. Because our ācāryas have said, where? In the Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu, the commentaries are from Jīva Gosvāmī, who mentions that if we tell somebody who's got a lot of obligations, does anybody here have any obligations? 1, 2, 3. I'm going to find somebody who doesn't have any. Okay, everyone's putting their hand up now. We have a lot of obligations right now in life, so then it means that you can't do it all the time. If we tell somebody that you should just do this all the time like Parikshit Maharaj, then it might be overwhelming, and you might think there's no entry point for me in this. So then they say something very practical for us, which is that it means at least once a day. So if we apply ourselves at least once a day, don't miss a day, to the process of hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, then we'll attain the result. And it's very practical that if we get the perspective from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam before we go out to meet our other obligations, then we'll meet them with alacrity. What does that mean? Somebody look it up. With alacrity. And we'll also make better choices as we move out the day. Just like when you're shopping, you make much better choices in shopping when you're not hungry. Do you know that? Have you ever heard that you should not shop when you're hungry? Has anybody here ever done it? Oh, it's horrible, isn't it? You fill a basket up, you keep, oh, I want some of that and this, and you get home and it's like, we already have 5 of those. Why'd you get that? I was hungry. Yes, please.
Alacrity, brisk and cheerful readiness.
Brisk and cheerful readiness. What does that look like? Very good. He's our poster child. Thank you. So, again, the translation is that persons who hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time. Sadyo hridya varudyate trakritibi shushushubish takshanat. The Bhagavatam begins in the second verse with saying that if you hear the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, then Krishna won't leave your heart. He's so interested in hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam himself that if you hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, he becomes steady in your heart, won't leave. And it's also mentioned that pranaya rasanaya dhritangri padma. By that process, you actually tie Krishna's lotus feet with ropes. You want to know what kind of ropes they are that you tie Krishna's lotus feet so he can't leave you? What kind of ropes are they? Who said? Is it a question or an answer? You think it's an answer? That is correct. They're ropes of love. Pranaya rasanaya dhritangi padma means that a person who listens to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam regularly is able to tie Krishna's lotus feet with ropes of love. Isn't that beautiful? So that's the secret to life. It's really the secret to life. So that's why we're here in the Dham, is to bring to life the mood of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. We'll see today when we go to Srila Bhakti-rasāmṛta Saraswati Thakur's mutt, and also to Tota Gopinath, again, we'll visit, and we'll talk about the ways that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, and also our subsequent ācāryas who come from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Srila Bhakti-rasāmṛta Saraswati Thakur, carried this process, this simple process with access to everybody, no matter where you live, into the highest realm of Krishna consciousness, which is to tie Krishna's lotus feet with ropes of love. And now we have just a few minutes for a few reflections or questions. If you can muster a question, you get extra points, especially if it's a good one. And reflections also are meritorious. A reflection is really easy. It just means anything you heard that's stuck in your mind that you feel is useful or interesting. Yes? Who's up? Tech support?
Thank you. Hare Krishna. I have a question. So we were talking about controlling the tongue. And so something that I try to practice whenever Krishna helps me enough to remember is to austerity is one part of it, and then the other part we hear is to control the tongue and, eating prasadam and just indulging in that way. And so my question is it that if you practice one, then that will help in the other way?
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Every spiritual discipline that we enact helps all the others. And any place we let down, we think, oh, I only let down here. We think it doesn't affect the rest of my life, but it does. It erodes our self-confidence, and it also puts us in a position where we think, oh, it's okay to let down, and I feel entitled again because I'm okay. I can do whatever I want. So yes, the answer is yes. When you control your tongue in any way, then you'll notice the benefits to all the other aspects of your life. And if you control your tongue by only taking prasadam, at least take the time to offer things before you honor them. Even if it's a quicker offering than you normally see, take that gap to offer it to Krishna, and you'll notice that there's a warm feeling in your heart that Krishna's reciprocating that, oh, you took the time to offer this to me, and you'll feel the difference, and that will affect how you speak later also. Okay, there was one more. 2, 3, 4, 5. We only have about 7 minutes.
Okay, I'll say it quickly. So I really liked what you brought up, that you brought up Parikshit Maharaj's story, and I was reflecting on how important those mistakes were to the entire Bhagavatam, and multiple people made mistakes. Parikshit Maharaj did, and so did Shringi. But if Maharaj hadn't made that mistake, then he would have never had that seriousness to listen to the Bhagavatam. And if Shringi hadn't cursed Maharaj, then the Bhagavatam wouldn't have been spoken in that instance, and then we wouldn't have it today. And so I think that it's so important because everybody will make mistakes, to own your mistakes gracefully. And to do that, you just have to learn from them. So if you make a mistake and you learn from it for the better, then you made that mistake gracefully and you owned it, and it was in your favor. So yeah.
Such a nice terminology. With grace, own your mistakes. Very, very nice. Excellent point. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I had a question. You mentioned that if we hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam attentively, then Krishna resides in our heart and he's tied with the rope of love. So Paramatma is always there in our heart. So can you please elaborate on the difference between the two? That we always have Paramatma in our heart, but if we listen to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam attentively, then he's tied in our heart. That's what you mentioned.
Okay, let's just say you live in a house with a spouse, and your spouse doesn't pay attention to you. How do you feel? Irritated, right. So Krishna's in our heart. We're in a house. The body's a house. And let's say he's there all the time. I mean, not let's say, he is there all the time. It's confirmed in all the Shastras. So how about we don't pay attention to him? How does he react? How does he feel, do you suppose? What do you think?
Sorry.
And how does Krishna feel if we don't pay attention to him?
He's very tolerant.
La-di-da-di-da. That's our life. And Krishna, whatever. So how does Krishna feel?
He's very tolerant, but he's eagerly waiting for us to pay attention. I can tell you,
in the 5th canto of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, there's a mention of Sankarshana at the end when the world gets burned down. The whole thing gets burned down later, right? You are aware of this? So Sankarshana, he thinks to all the opportunities given the living entities in the material world. He's thinking about this. There's unlimited living entities. He's there in the heart. He's giving all the Shastras. Hare Krishna's coming to his door. Bang, bang, bang. And they ignore the whole thing. And then he becomes slightly annoyed. And then out of his annoyance, then these manifestations of Lord Shiva, these Rudras, they burst out from his head, and then they start their dance of devastation. So, point is that if we don't, if we give attention, even a little attention to somebody goes a long way, because that's our main asset in life that we have. We have the free will to apportion our attention in the ways that we decide to. And if we give our attention to Krishna just by, okay, I'm going to go to class, and I'll sit in the class and listen, then Krishna notices and he reciprocates with us, just like another living entity in your life would do, except for he's the supreme living entity, and he also feels your intention, that you've done this for him, that you actually paid attention to what his life is like. You get in a conversation with somebody and you say, this is all about me, and then you don't take the time to ask them about their life, right? Have you ever seen one of those conversations, been in one? It's all one-sided. So just try to listen about Krishna's life and don't just always think about yours. Okay, there was one more. Who had their hand up? Yes. Oh. Okay. Please go ahead.
It's silly related. It's about something that was in the purport that you spoke about for a moment, was like a cheap devotee is trying to see the Lord without any qualification. And then, so yesterday you were also talking about the devotee who wanted to stand really close to Srila Prabhupada and was too close and wasn't actually close internally, it was just close physically. But then I just remember this one pastime where, I can't remember who it was, maybe Sanatana Goswami was paying or somebody was paying obeisances to Lord Chaitanya from a distance, or Lord Nityananda, who was it? Raghunath Das Goswami was paying obeisances to Lord Nityananda from a distance. And he saw, or somebody told Lord Nityananda, and he said, "What are you doing? Like, come, don't be like that. Don't be like that. Like,
you're a thief."
Yeah, you're a thief. That's what it was. Very strong language. And so, how do we find the balance between like this eagerness to be very close? You know, and it's difficult in Jagannath Puri as a Western person. I cannot go see in Jagannath and the deities. So how do I find this balance between this eagerness to be very close to the deities and to see them and to have the darshan, and also like recognizing closeness is within? And
so our closeness to Krishna comes through our service. And when you have service, as it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, Narayanak paraksarve nakutas chana pibhyati swarga pavarga narakeshu api tulyartha darshina. Tulya means equal. And what's equal? Heaven or hell. You can be in heaven or you can be in hell. It's equal to the devotee who has service. Because you can do service in hell, right? Anyone who's been to a hellish place? Yes, you can do lots of service there. You can have Harinam. Las Vegas, the devotee said when they opened the temple there, they had a huge Harinam right outside all the casinos. They said, best Harinam ever. And there were a lot of experienced kirtaniyas there who've been around for 50 years, and they said that was the best ever. So when you have service, for instance, let's say you have a spiritual master and then your spiritual master leaves the world. You have Tirubhav. Now he's not visible to you anymore. And so then how do you stay connected? Through service. So when we have the service to Krishna and the spiritual master wherever we are. So Haridas Thakur, he didn't enter the temple, and neither did Rupa or Sanatana Goswami. But they had service constantly, so much so that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to see them every day. Others are going to see Jagannath, but Jagannath's coming to see them directly because of their seva. So now we have an opportunity for just a short demonstration about how to distribute books here, because you'll see how your experience here in the Dham comes alive when you distribute a book here as we're walking around. And we'll have also an opportunity, a big uproarious kirtan we'll have in front of the Jagannath Mandir. And thousands of people will walk by, and you can distribute books and have Harinam there. So here's how to do it. First of all, I need a pair of shoes. Second of all, I needed a volunteer. Oh, sorry. First of all, you'll see people walking around. And when you do, the first process is to make a conscious connection with people. And you can do that by offering your obeisances like this. Everyone try it. Turn to somebody and offer your obeisances and see if they don't like it. Everybody likes this. It's a nice way to approach people like this. So offer your obeisances, and then when they acknowledge your existence, which is a very nice thing to have your existence acknowledged, right? So you acknowledge that they're a soul, that's what you're doing, and you're actually offering your obeisance to Krishna within their heart. Try it again, but see Krishna in the heart of the person that you're offering obeisance. Very good. Okay, now when you see them acknowledge you, they might smile, or they might also bow, or they might tip their head, or whatever they do, then you can start to approach them because you have permission. If you just approach them without making a conscious contact, then it might be like you're some kind of an aggressor because you're just approaching them and they don't know why. But if you open their heart just a tiny little bit, and when you get at least this far away from them, then you do this. And now watch what he does. Now he throws his shoes off. And so then the first thing, as what I'll do, is I will hand them a book. Then I hand them a lollipop. What language do you speak?
Hindi.
Ha. Hindi bol sakte hai. Now, I don't say anything. I just handed him 3 items. I'm going to show you one more time. 1, or either way. 1, 2. Note, this is a card that has Hindi on it that says, please give a donation. So this is 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you know yoga, you stand in mountain pose like this. Don't say anything. Don't move. Stand like a mountain. Tall. And just stand there. Now it's binary. They know that you know that they know what it means. You don't have to speak Hindi. You don't have to pretend anything. It's yes or no, and it's always yes. Here in the Dham, you'll find people are very, very nice. So then they'll give some reciprocation. Why do we ask for donations? We don't need the money, frankly. But when we give people the opportunity to offer something in return, it completes the circle. It connects them to the book. They feel it has value. Prabhupada made this point to us, that when you ask people for a donation and they're able to offer something in return, then they feel like an insider. It's like, this is my book. If you just give it to them and walk away, they're thinking like, that's their book they gave to me, but they don't feel like it's theirs. When you pay for something and somebody says, how do you like it? What do you generally say? Especially if you paid a lot for it. He's like, yeah, it's really good. Because you don't want to look like you bought a bad thing. So in this case, they're giving for the best thing. Now, give the donation. Here, I'll hold your mic for you. I don't think he needs it because he's not really saying much. Just pull it. It's in. Oh, I'll take that too. Okay, what else you got? Check in your pocket. He doesn't have any rupees. Judges, can we take this? Okay, thank you very much. Haribol. Now, next thing is, do we have a card with the mantra on it? Mantra card. We also have a sticker, no? Okay, so that's what's missing here. We have 5,000 stickers, we have 5,000 lollipops, and we have 5,000 books. Well, this is a mantra card. Hey, I also got $5. See? It works. Okay, so one more time. Reverse order. Note that I'm giving him a beautiful Jagannath sticker. Now the book. Now the language card. Now mountain pose. Now he's going to reach in and give me some cash. Right here. Thank you very much. And then we'll say, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Ram.
Hare Rama.
Hare Ram.
Rama Rama.
Rama Ram.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Okay, give him a hand. Give him a hand. Any question? Yes? Then just say, Hindi ne. Yes? You could ask him Hindi or Oriyan, Bangla. If they speak English, you're in big trouble because they didn't bring any English books. I don't know why, but okay? Yes? Maybe from the temple we can get some, ISKCON temple. We're going to need English books too. You know, there's people that speak English here. Yes?
Hare Krishna. If it's a family, how many you give lollipops to all
Everybody
of them?
gets a lollipop.
Everybody gets a lollipop.
Everybody in Jagannath Puri or anyone else, everywhere. When I got on the plane, coming from, where were we? In Delhi? We came from Delhi. So we got on first, and then we sat down on an aisle seat, and I had a bag of lollipops. And you know how people walk by you? So every kid got a lollipop, because when they started walking by, you give them, like, just handing them out. And then they were, you know, they could see 2, 3 down the line that they're waiting to get their lollipop. It makes a difference in your life, you know, to give out prasadam wherever you go, because then life becomes an exciting adventure rather than just sitting there, when's this plane going to take off? What was the question anyway? I forgot. Yeah, it just means take lollipops, they carry them with you everywhere. Give them to every single person you meet, wherever you go. And then also carry books and stickers. So everybody in the family gets one. Okay? Oh yeah, this is a custom here in Orissa. When you kick your shoes off, it means you're about to do something very spiritual. And they don't like when you do stuff like do Harinam Sankirtan if you have your shoes on. Sometimes they get upset. But and that doesn't mean we all have to wear shoes. The road's very rough out there. But at least when you approach people, this is very demonstrative. You kick your shoes off, they'll kick their shoes off, and they'll take you very seriously. We discovered that a couple of years ago. Yes. Yes, you may keep your socks on. Last question, anything?
So,
yes?
Also in the language card, we have put logically like first Odia. So it's like more probabilities that we will meet the Odian people. Then the Bengali is the second, and third is the Hindi.
What about the English speakers? I know I hate to miss anybody, but we have some English books? Okay. Okay, so just take some books with you. Who's organizing? Keshav Gokulanand Prabhu, who's a veteran book distributor from the UK, will be helping us when we leave. Everyone will get a bag with some stickers, and you want to say what you're going to do?
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. So after we finish Prasadam, please meet here at 9:30 and come in your groups and with the chaperones as well. And what we'll do is we'll divide the books up. We'll give you the books. Carry a bag with you. So bring your bag from your room. And these books, you carry them throughout the yatra. The language cards as well, carry them throughout the yatra. And so you can use them here in Mayapur as well. And towards the end of the yatra, if you can bring back the language cards, that'll be great. So then we can reuse them for the yatras. And if you run out of books any day, just come speak to me and we'll top them up for you. So 9:30 here after Prasadam. Please come and we'll give you the books. Come with a bag. Thank you.